They called him the strongest man who ever lived. The man who tore lions apart with his bare hands, who carried city gates on his shoulders. Yet, his greatest battle wasn't against armies. It was against himself. This is the story of Samson, the mighty man who fell, and the God who never let him go. In the days when the children of Israel turned away from the Lord, darkness covered the land. Their enemies, the Philistines, ruled over them with iron fists. Villages burned. Fathers were enslaved. Mothers wept. And for 40 long years, Israel cried out to God for deliverance. One quiet night in the small town of Zorah, a barren woman knelt in prayer. Her tears glistened in the moonlight. She had no child, and her heart was heavy. But heaven was listening. Suddenly, a radiant light filled her room. An angel of the Lord stood before her, his face bright like the sun. "Woman, though you are barren, you shall conceive and bear a son. He shall be set apart to God from birth. No razor shall touch his head, and he shall begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines." The woman trembled. Her heart pounded as she whispered, "Who am I, that the Lord has seen me?" When her husband Manoah returned, she told him everything. Manoah fell to his knees. "Let the man of God return to us, and teach us how to raise the boy who will save Israel." And the Lord heard his prayer. The angel returned and said, "Raise him as a Nazarite, consecrated to the Lord. He must never drink wine or touch what is unclean. From his birth to his death, he belongs to God." When the angel ascended to heaven in the flames of their sacrifice, Manoah and his wife fell to the ground in awe. And in due time, the woman bore a son. She named him Samson, meaning sunlight, for she believed this child would bring light to Israel's darkness. Samson grew, strong, wild, and full of life. From his youth, the Spirit of the Lord stirred in him. But even as his muscles grew, so did his curiosity and his pride. One day, while traveling with his parents to Timnah, he saw a Philistine woman, and his heart burned with desire. "Father, I have seen a woman in Timnah. Get her for me, for she pleases me well." Manoah frowned. "Is there no woman among your own people? Must you take a wife from the uncircumcised Philistines?" But Samson's eyes were fixed. "Get her for me, Father. She is the one." He did not know that this was part of God's greater plan, to confront the Philistines through him. As they journeyed down to Timnah again, a lion suddenly leapt from the vineyards. With a roar that shook the trees, it charged. But the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon Samson. He grabbed the lion by its jaws and tore it apart with his bare hands. When he looked at the carcass days later, bees had made honey inside it. He scooped it up and ate it, sweet and strange. He did not tell his parents what he had done. It became a riddle in his heart. Out of the eater came forth meat. Out of the strong came forth sweetness. And that riddle would one day cost him more than he ever imagined. Samson's wedding feast in Timnah was loud and full of laughter. 30 Philistine men sat around him, boasting and drinking. With a proud smile, Samson said, "Let me pose you a riddle. If you can solve it within 7 days, I'll give you 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes. But if you cannot, then you shall give them to me." They agreed eagerly. Out of the eater came forth meat. Out of the strong came forth sweetness. For 3 days they tried, but could not solve it. So they turned to his bride. They whispered threats in her ear. "Get the answer from your husband, or we'll burn your father's house with fire." She wept before Samson day and night, pleading, "You hate me. You haven't told me the answer." Samson sighed. "I haven't even told my father or mother. Why should I tell you?" But her tears broke his resolve. On the 7th day, he told her, and she told the Philistines. At sunset, they answered him, "What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion?" Samson's jaw tightened. Rage burned in his chest. "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." The Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, killed 30 men, and gave their garments to his challengers. But when he returned, his bride had been given to another. Betrayed and humiliated, Samson's heart darkened. He swore vengeance. It was harvest time when Samson struck back. He caught 300 foxes, tied them tail to tail, and fastened torches between them. As the flame spread through the fields, the golden crops of the Philistines turned to ash. When they discovered Samson had done it, they took his former bride and her father and burned them alive. When Samson heard of it, he stood in the ashes and whispered, "Because you did this, I will not rest until I have taken revenge." He struck them, hip and thigh, with a great slaughter, blood staining the ground beneath him. Then he went to dwell in a cave at the rock of Etam, alone, broken, hunted. The Philistines marched into Judah, demanding that Samson be handed over. The men of Judah, afraid for their own lives, went to him and said, "Don't you know the Philistines rule over us? What have you done?" "I only did to them what they did to me," they pleaded. "We've come to tie you up and hand you over." Samson nodded. "Swear to me that you yourselves won't kill me." They agreed and bound him with new ropes. But as the Philistines came shouting against him, the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him again. The ropes melted from his arms like burnt flax. He reached down, grabbed the jawbone of a donkey, and struck. One by one they fell. 10, 20, 100, until 1,000 Philistine soldiers lay lifeless at his feet. Panting, Samson threw down the jawbone and cried, "With the jawbone of a donkey, I have made donkeys of them. With a jawbone, I have slain 1,000 men." Then thirst overcame him. He fell to his knees. "O Lord, have you delivered me only to let me die of thirst?" And the Lord split the hollow place in the ground. Water gushed out, reviving him. He named that place En-Hakor, the spring of the caller. Years passed. Samson became Israel's judge, but though he fought the Lord's battles, his heart was still drawn to his own desires. One night he went to Gaza, the Philistine city, and lay with a harlot. When the Philistines learned he was there, they set an ambush at the gate. But at midnight, Samson rose. He walked to the city gate. The massive iron doors locked tight, and with a roar, he tore them from their hinges. He lifted them on his shoulders and carried them to the top of a mountain. The people gasped. The legend of Samson grew, but pride grew with it. In the valley of Sorek, Samson met a woman named Delilah. Beautiful, mysterious, dangerous. He loved her, blindly. The Philistine lords came to her with silver and whispers. "Entice him and find out where his strength lies. Each of us will give you 1,100 pieces of silver." Delilah agreed. That night she caressed Samson's hair and whispered, "Tell me, my love, what makes you so strong? How can you be bound?" Samson smiled lazily. "If they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings, I'll become as weak as any man." She waited until he slept. Then the Philistines hid in the room. When they tied him, she cried out, "Samson, the Philistines are upon you!" He broke the cords like burnt thread. She pouted, "You mocked me. Tell me truly." Again he lied. "If they bind me with new ropes that have never been used." Again he broke them. A third time she asked, "If you weave the 7 locks of my hair into the loom." Even then he escaped, but Delilah's persistence wore him down. Day after day she pressed him, until his soul was vexed to death. Finally, weary and broken, he whispered, "No razor has ever touched my head, for I am a Nazarite unto God. If I am shaven, my strength will leave me." Her eyes gleamed with betrayal. That night, as he slept on her lap, she called for a man to shave his head. One by one, the locks fell. The covenant was broken. "Samson, the Philistines are upon you." He awoke and said, "I will go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know. The Spirit of the Lord had departed from him. The Philistines seized him. They gouged out his eyes and dragged him in chains to Gaza. There, the once mighty warrior was forced to grind grain in prison like an ox. Day after day, darkness surrounded him. But in the silence, something changed. He began to pray again. He remembered who he was and who God was. And as the months passed, his hair began to grow. One day, the Philistine lords gathered in the temple of Dagon to celebrate their victory. 3,000 men and women filled the great hall, laughing, mocking, drinking. "Bring out Samson. Let him entertain us." Blind, weak, and led by a young boy, Samson was brought into the temple. They jeered and spat at him. He whispered to the boy, "Place my hands upon the pillars that support the temple, that I may rest upon them." Then, lifting his face toward heaven, he prayed, "O Lord God, remember me, I pray. Strengthen me just once more, that I may take vengeance for my eyes." The boy stepped back. Samson spread his arms, pressing against the pillars. Muscles tensed. Tears fell from his blind eyes. "Let me die with the Philistines." And with one final cry, he pushed. The pillars cracked, the roof trembled, and the entire temple collapsed in thunder and dust. That day, Samson killed more in his death than he had in his life. When the dust settled, Israel mourned. Manoah's family came and took Samson's body, laying him to rest between Zorah and Eshtal, the land of his birth. The mighty man had fallen, but even in his fall, God's purpose stood. For Samson's story was not one of perfection, but of grace. He was chosen, flawed, and redeemed, a man whose strength was great, but whose weakness revealed something greater, that no failure is beyond God's mercy. And so, the legend of Samson echoes through time, a warning and a hope, that strength without surrender leads to ruin, but surrender to God brings redemption, even from the ruins of our own making. For when the mighty fall, God's grace still stands.